This band is awesome, isn't it? We get that inspiration every week. Thanks, guys. But for a while, I thought that, all this time, I thought that chorus was, we're going to walk on out of here. I thought they were having me get lost. But anyway, good morning.
Good morning.
I am so excited to be here and to talk with you guys. I enjoy it so much, and hopefully you will too. So the theme for the month is Walk the Talk. And what does that mean? And so if you've listened to me before, you know I just get caught up on those words and want to, what does it mean? So I got it for you here. Walk the talk. Putting your words into action. Showing that you mean what you say by actually doing it. So a great way to kick off the month. And it also reminded me of an experience that I had. I was a movie extra, unpaid movie extra. And so I was working in Burbank at an entertainment thing that did payroll for that. So I was like, oh, this is cool. I'll get right inside the lines here. And so a group of us met in L.A. at an auditorium, and the movie was Cary Elwes was the main actor, and the movie was about this successful motivational speaker. So he was all dapper and just all looking great, and he had the perfect wife, and they had the two perfect kids that were a cheerleader in football, and everything was perfect, and he was giving these motivational speeches on how people, to live their life. Well, he got a little curveball in this movie in that his nephew came to live with them, and he was in an abusive family, and so he had to start walking the talk with this nephew coming in, and so it was a reality therapy for them because they had a real life experience in front of them. So it was a great experience for me, and it just rang home on the theme for the month. And then, so I did get 5 seconds of fame, on the screen. 5 seconds. I didn't get my 15 minutes, just 5 seconds. But at the end, we're all there, and it's unpaid, so they feed you a lot, and you just sit around talking while they practice or whatever. And so then, at the end, they have a drawing. So all of these hundreds of people that participated, they have a drawing and give stuff away. Well, I won the grand prize. And so the grand prize was a TV and an introduction and picture with Cary Elwes. So I thought, this is cool. But that was the last one I ever did. But it was a good kickoff to my movie career. It lasted 5 seconds. But anyway, moving on to my talk for today is called You Are Not a Fraction. And I'm just curious, show of hands, how many of you brought pencil and paper for the quiz? Okay, we got 1, 2, all right. The rest of you, I don't know, we're going to have to talk about that. But as we get into this, I wanted to share some numbers with you. And so whenever we talk about fractions, a lot of times I think of food, and so a pizza, you can cut a pizza, it depends, if you're really hungry, you cut it in fourths, and if you have to share, you cut it in eighths, right? So you're going to take one of those 8, so it's something you can relate to. You're looking at the pizza, how hungry am I, how many pieces I'm going to cut it in, and 4 pieces, the band's hungry. And so that's what fractions are all about. It's focusing on the piece of pizza that you're going to eat and how much of the whole are you going to get. So that's how you focus. So let's talk some more about numbers. So the world population is 8 billion people. So each one of you are a fraction of 1 over 8 billion. And then let's narrow it down a little bit. United States, you're 1 and 334 million. And so whenever you hear these numbers, what do? You just go, yeah, whatever, because it's too big of a number. It's not like the pizza. And then California is 1 in 39 million. And even Huntington Beach, you're 1 in 200,000. So big numbers like that, we tend to just go, it's a big number, And so, but we sometimes act like looking at that pizza when we look at the world. And so, what I wanted to share with you is a Holmes quote. We have a teaching that we are one. That we are one. And so Holmes grabbed one of his quotes. He said, "The first principle of life is oneness. We are one even while we are many." And so I thought about that and thought you guys really wanted a Patty translation of this. And so I was thinking of what she might say, and so I got it. It says, "Y'all, we're in this together." So, all y'all. There you see. And so let's, what these numbers, it can get, you can get lost in the numbers. And so, but that's what I'm going to talk about today is these numbers. So there's a movie that I like, and if you know me, I like talking about movies because it's an experience that we can be external to it and look into it, and then we can see those similarities of our life. And a lot of times there's spirituality stuff that's in there. You just have to be looking for it. So today's movie is called Fault in Our Stars. And so it was about this couple. And so the girl had cancer, and she was going day by day, going through her treatment. And the boy also had cancer, and he was somewhat in remission. He ended up losing part of his leg, and he, was traumatized, but he was looking, he was on the other side of recovery, meaning he was in remission, and they had dealt with his cancer. And so they got together, and so that's what the movie is about, is the two of them getting together. They got together in a support group. And so they started a relationship, and that's what the whole movie is about, is a relationship. And so the guy, his perspective, he had a fear. He had a fear of oblivion. He had a fear of not being remembered. He wanted to make a statement to the world, and he wanted to be remembered. And that's the biggest thing he feared, was oblivion. And the girl, she just took one day at a time. It's like, whatever's happening today, that's what's happening today. And she really didn't worry about anything but today, because she knew what it was like to have today. And so their relationship goes on, and so then with the boy, it takes a turn for the worse, and he realizes he's going to die. And so he's very upbeat about this with his couple of friends, this girl and another guy, and he asked them to write his obituary. And so they do. And so then the girl gets a call and say, "Hey, could you come on down to the church?" He wanted to experience them reading the obituaries while he was still alive. And so they both were down there, and they both read through. And the reason I go through this is because I want to share what she shared about it. And so it was, how many numbers are between 0 and 1? And so she started out, well, there's 0.1 going on forever. There's 0.11 goes on forever. And so really, it goes on for infinity. And so then she told him, well, think about the numbers between 0 and 2. Isn't that also infinity? And then, how many numbers can you actually have? Well, isn't that infinity? And so she told him, I know you fear not being remembered, but the thing you need to do is remember your infinity and choose it wisely. So you're not the infinity of the world. You're not the infinity of United States. You are your own infinity. So by picking that, she told him, I remember you, I love you, and so that is good enough. And if it's not good enough for you, I'm sorry, but you have people that love you right in front of you. And so the theme that I pulled out of that was remember your infinity. And the reason that I was looking at that and going, okay, well, how do I apply that in my life? So as we look around, we have these bad events that happen all over the world and even locally. And so as we're looking at those events, what process do you go through whenever you look at the events? Initially, there's the shock, the shock of what happened. And it's right there in front of you, right? It's on the news, it's every channel, it's on the newspaper, people are talking about it. And that's what the focus is, that negative piece, that bad thing that happened. And I've always wondered, how can I make a difference? How can I make a difference in that whenever it's in New York or even LA? But if you remember that we're all connected and that we're all one, the actions that you do today around you affect everyone because we're all one. So which infinity would you choose? Would you choose the infinity of the story of what's happening and how bad it was and everything? No. I mean, you can, but it's not very productive. So the thing that you can do, which I am trying to do, I haven't got there yet, but I think that's what life is. You just keep going in that direction. But it's like, what could possibly have caused that in relationships, and what could have been in that person's mind? And you can't be in that person's mind. You can't really know. But what you can do is appreciate those people around you and that you have contact with, and you can love them, and you can understand them, and you can have compassion for them. And as you do that, it has a ripple effect throughout the world. So if everybody did that, imagine everybody doing that in this room, how many people would that touch? What would be that infinity? And so that's the choice that I look at. I don't have the answer. I don't have here's the magic formula. If this bad thing happened, well, this is the exact thing I'm going to do. But I do know that I'm going to live a life that I'm going to let people know that they're never alone and that they're always loved. And that'll make different forms depending on the situation, but everybody that's around me, that's the message I deliver to them. And so I'm delivering that message and I'm living that life. That's what I do. So in talking about bad events and kind of going through, there's some more of that quote. I don't know if you guys knew that quote. How many of you had it memorized? No, nobody? Okay. I didn't either, so that's why I write it down. But anyway, so the rest of the quote, and I'll do the whole thing just so you can have it in perspective, is the first principle of life is oneness. We are one even while we are many. And since each of us is a part of the whole, if we seek to destroy each other, we only ultimately hurt ourselves. This is the great lesson of life. So I purposely didn't give you the whole picture because I had to give you the story up front. But also, it came to me about Helen Keller, and she had a quote. It just randomly, well, we know it's not random, but it came to me, and so I wanted to share that quote with you too. Although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it. So you choose your infinity. You choose your infinity. And so there's a lot of bad things happening in the world. So it's easy to talk about the bad things, but let's talk about some good things. All right? So let's talk about me. So I chose a path of ministry, and so I went through basically 10 years. So I had 5 years working my way up to ministerial school, and then I had a slower pace, and so I did 5 years of ministerial school. So I took 10 years to get there. And so I became a minister. And so then the first thing I thought of, I don't know if it was the first thing, but one of the things I thought of was, okay, I'm going to be there in front of 50,000 people, just like, was it Joel Osteen, on TV? All right, I'm here, guys, listen to me. And millions of people are going to just be looking at me, tuning in, sending in money. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, so I was kind of looking at that and like, oh, that's not really realistic for my first month. I gotta do something different. And so I then thought about my mentor. And so my mentor is in Mile High, and he has, I forget the number on the rolls, but it's a lot, 20, 30,000, and they have like 3,000 people on Sunday. And I'm like, oh, that's it. That's my goal. I'm going to be in front of, 1,500 people for each service, I'll do that in month 2 because I have to work up to it. And then I kept working through that, and I went, well, wait a minute, maybe that's not realistic. Maybe I'm choosing the wrong infinity. And I do a group on Wednesday night. We just celebrated the anniversary of 3 years restarting the Wednesday night service. And I have about a dozen people that come in every Wednesday night. And we have I think I have 25 people that rotate in, coming on Wednesday night as their schedule permits. And we have a great time. And we talk, and we've developed a relationship, and that's my infinity, is Wednesday night service. So if that other stuff comes along, stay tuned. I'll have my own TV channel. But for right now, I'm choosing my infinity to be here with all of you. I mean, I like being here today in front of you, and every Wednesday night, I like to be in front of that group, and we all get something out of it, so it's pretty cool. And so if I kept my focus on being on TV or going to a church of 1,500 people and being the minister, which I know you can't just like jump into something like that, but it's like, how productive would I be if that's what I thought about, if that's what my focus was? I could have dreams and think and all that, but am I walking the talk? No, because it's not realistic, And so my infinity, the infinity I choose, is here with each one of you. The infinity I choose is to be the best person that I can be. The infinity that I choose is to be a good person in all of my actions. And of course, I slip up. I get mad, or I wish somebody would be quiet. So I go through that, But that's my goal. My goal is to be a good person. That's the infinity I choose. And that by choosing that, you make a difference in the world. So my talk said, you are not a fraction. So you can see how unrealistic it is to analyze a fraction of 1 over 8 billion. You don't even try. You just give up. But you can appreciate and understand a number of 1. And all of us are 1, y'all. All of us are 1. And so that is what I hope you choose. And in choosing that, you will be walking the talk, and you will not be a fraction. Oh, I don't know how many of you wrote those numbers down for population. Did anybody write those down? Yeah, a few people over here. Oh, got it memorized over here. Well, that was before the service started. So you're going to have to adjust those numbers because the population has changed since we've been here, 8,000 people for the world. And that trickles on down to everybody. But anyway, I so enjoy all of you. You are a blessing to me, and I enjoy talking with you. And I hope you always choose your infinity that brings peace to your heart, knowing that you're never alone. We're all one, and you're always loved. Thank you.